Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, the taxation, you get the sales volume, there's a sales tax. It's 8.8%. Good, 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 the county says. Property tax. Your property taxes are sustained instead of eroding, then you're going to get more revenue coming from it. So it's self-fulfilling. You invest, it's like putting money in a term deposit at 5%. Oh, okay, that money was just sitting before. Now it's growing. And they can use the same philosophy. And if they can spend $6 billion on foreign aid, surely they could spare 1 day's interest and throw it Point Roberts' way.
Out of other presidential terms and different presidential administrations, which administration did you see the most aid, most income, most support from?
None.
No.
None. I mean, they ignore us equally. If you look globally, absolutely hands down, Biden's got it. I mean, there's an economic revival since he took over in the United States. Generally, we've been left out again. We're probably one of the few that's been left off the economic revival program. And I applaud him for what he's done, but not for us. We've been left out. Our own governor wrote him, Inslee, and he's in the same party. They're all Democrats. And he ignored twice he's written him. Senator Murray, Democrat, for Washington State, in the House, in the Senate floor, did a 10-minute presentation to the House, Senate, about Point Roberts, and a picture, and walked them all through it. Nothing.
So you just...
They tried, but nothing, no fallout landed here.
So at the end of the day, will you blame the local politicians for what's happening to Point Roberts, or up in the federal, up in the Capitol?
I blame them all, but the primary function and responsibility lies with Whatcom County. I call them Won't-Come County. Because they don't do a thing for us. The majority of the 7 members of the council over there, 50 miles away and 2 international borders away, never been here. Ever been here. We have one that's been here twice, and the chief executive has been here 4 times in 4 years. So you can imagine how much result we're getting from that. And they never did a protest to the Canadians about the border lockdown to make an exception for Point Roberts. Silent. Absolute silent. So they've done nothing for us, and we've been abandoned for 20 months, locked in here, like being in a penitentiary, and our governance
doesn't want to do anything.
3 monkeys. Yeah.
And I'm glad you mentioned Won't-Come County, because I know you sent me a file a while back of the lawsuit you put against the county. Can you kind of just explain what the lawsuit is and what it's all about?
Well, it occurred to me following all the other national news and state news that I sometimes watch all the time, actually. And the big thing is woke, and someone's feelings are getting hurt, or discrimination. And I went, you can sue for discrimination. Put us in. We're discriminated against more than any other town in North America by our own government. So, pay attention. Give us, what I also asked for was, where's the data that shows how much Point Roberts sends to the county and the state in sales tax, property tax, parcel post tax, gasoline tax? How much do we spend? I expect it's about $10 million a year. 80% of it coming from Canadians. And maybe that's the problem. They don't feel accountable to foreign money coming in. I don't know what their excuse might be, because they haven't talked about it. And they won't release the numbers. Now, when they're running for public office, full transparency, we'll show you everything coming in and going out. As soon as they get in, standing on their record, all right. It's under their feet, and they won't step off it because they don't want you to see it. So all I want to see is the numbers the public have put forward and given to you to manage us, and then let's compare it to how much is spent back here. And I'll be surprised if that's $500,000. So 10 million out, $500,000 in. That's my best guess. Prove me wrong. Show us the numbers. Simple. Prove me wrong. And I'll apologize when you prove me wrong, but you're going to have to prove me wrong.
Yeah, seems that.
So that's the thrust of what I'm at. I'm not trying to sue them for something for me. I'm suing them for something to do their job that they swore that they would do. Full and complete transparency to the public. And I'm a member of the public.
Yeah, the people of Point Roberts, I feel like, deserve to know these numbers. Because, I mean, when we were driving around, it feels like Point Roberts could use that extra aid. And as you mentioned,
any aid. It's not extra. We're getting nothing now.
Oh,
so
wow.
it's not extra aid. It's any aid. Yeah.
Yeah, because as you mentioned, other countries are out here getting billions, millions. I mean, a bill recently was signed to give a couple billion to Ukraine and a couple other to Israel. And here you are just standing in the corner waiting for at least $1 to come out of their pockets.
I'll take the interest on the foreign aid is $6 billion last year. I'm not against foreign aid. I just would like for Point Roberts to get 1 day's interest rate off that $6 billion. 1 day. And give it to Point Roberts and let us get on with it.
Oh, yeah. And I also, you mentioned here that a lot of Canadians own property here because the state of Washington passed a law where they could buy property here. Do you consider that a issue that people from other country is coming here buying property, and like do you think that affects Point Roberts in the negative or the positive way?
Well, Canadians own 70 to 75% of Point Roberts. Now, if you went by gross ownership, Canada owns us, right? in practical terms, they're 90% of our economy. But they started coming here in the 30s and 40s. Mm-hmm. So all our subdivisions were put together by Canadian influence. They were built by Americans for Canadians. And to this day, we see the houses the few of them being built right now. Mm-hmm. And it's all U.S. contractors for Canadian purchasers. So they put Point Roberts on its feet financially. Otherwise, we'd have been a ghost town back in the 30s and 40s and never had grown. We'd have been a farming or maybe an exclusive resort water-oriented rich people's enclave, as opposed to it's probably middle. Our population is middle income generally.
Yeah. And lastly, if you had a chance to join the rest of Canada, rest of British Columbia, would you do it? And if so, why?
It'll never happen. The United States history, well over 200 years, has never sold 1 square foot of dirt. Never. It's taken dirt, it's bought dirt, Alaska and so forth, but it's never relinquished any dirt. So that's not going to happen. Not going to happen. So, and people have argued, one fellow was arguing a few years ago, let's buy it from Canada for $5 billion. It's worth $1. And people go, what? What do you mean $1? I said, you don't have anything here that's revenue producing. You own parks, cost money. Roads, cost money. Ditches and drains, cost money. They own no land here. The county owns no, the state owns no land here that produces any revenue. Well, why would you buy it? I mean, if you had 500 acres of high-rise apartment zoning land, that might be worth something. But the way it sits now, it's not worth it. $5 billion is just absolutely outrageous. So the best I could think to make Point Roberts work, in several things we mentioned earlier. The other one is move the U.S. border station, like they did in the Peace Arch, apart to the water's edge at the marina, the U.S. one. Canadian one stays where it is on the 49th parallel. Everything in between is a co-op zone that Canadians and Americans can co-mingle without having to go to the other country, like they do at Peace Arch, and it works great. Has worked for 100 and some years. Why can't it work here?
Yeah, I agree.
And then everyone keeps their jurisdictions, their land, and so forth, and there's no international boundary crisis that we have to go through Ottawa and Washington, D.C., and all the political levels. That wouldn't happen. So
Yeah, this town is too small to really get the attention of DC, Ottawa. It's just, and as you mentioned, there's no revenue being made here. There's nothing at stake. You know, a bunch of trees and grass. I mean, they want to sell lumber. I mean, that's the business here. But, you know, I do appreciate you joining me here today. And thank you so much for sharing the time to discuss.
Anytime. Good luck with your project.
Thank you so much. Is there one last thing you'd like to mention before stopping the recording? Is there anything you'd like to say?
I'd like to take your report and send it to every politician that I know of. Get their attention.
Yeah, because I mean, you just got to keep poking the bear until it wakes up. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, well there you have it, folks. From Arizona all the way to Canada. So a lot of good effort went to this interview. I felt like we discussed a lot of important things there, and I feel like there's still more to discuss, but unfortunately that's all the time we had. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe, because there's more to come, and I am putting in a lot of efforts to these. The next video hopefully will be more based around World War II or Soviet currency. I don't know. More on that later. But yeah, enjoy the video, and bye.